Hello, I'm Carlo Burnside. I'm going to talk to you about two lights that I carry as I work security. I'm a security officer, and I choose to find different forms of tactical equipment which makes sense to me. I think there's some things that security officers make decisions on, and they shouldn't. But I believe that I found a medium which would work just in case. And most security officers are concerned about physical contact or the unknown, like what's around the corner, what's behind the darkness. And so I think I've figured out a way tactfully and tactically to address that. I'm going to talk about two lights. One will be the, should say it right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of dark. It's called the W30. You can't see that. Hold on just a second. That should help. It's called the W30. It's made by Beam. There we go. And I want to talk about one of the lights is this one because for several reasons. You've seen reviews on the light. You've seen demonstrations of the light, but I'm speaking from a security tactical standpoint. For one, safety. Most people assume that security officers either don't have much experience or don't have much equipment or don't have the capacity to do the job that they're required to do. And because of that, it makes them vulnerable, whether they are prepared or not. And one of the best ways to address person's doubt of your abilities is to present yourself in a professional manner. So, of course, one of the first items that they want to see is your presence. Secondly, they want to see your gestures. Third, they want to hear your voice. Through your voice, how you arrange your sentences and give requests or commands depending. And then we can move to the equipment. And that's where we are with the tact light. Now, first of all, if you look at it, it doesn't look like much. I mean, it doesn't look like much. It's approximately, what, 6 inches, 7 inches, something like that. It's not a large light. It really isn't. But it slips right into your utility belt. If you have a holster for a light, you can put it right there and it'll sit next to your radio. If you don't want to put it in a holster, you have a clip here. You can use a clip and put it on your belt. If you don't want to use the belt, they have access references so you can clip it to a lanyard or something and put it over your shoulder or what have you. There are multiple references to secure this either to your person or a vehicle or what have you, and you can use it in that fashion, or secure it in that fashion, I should say. Also, the clip is removable. You can remove it. There it is right there. You can just take it right off. Also, this particular part, which some people are concerned about, all you have to do is take the cap off and then remove the O-rings, and then this slides right off, and then you can put this back on. I just choose to keep it on because there's another reference right here where I can hook it, and it will secure to whatever. See that? Whatever I need it to. It's another port to secure it. So I can hook it one here and then one here, and that'll make a loop, and I can just carry it. Okay. So now that I've covered that, I'm going to tell you about its power. I can use my YMCA card. Here I have a card. Okay. Now, if I want to see what's on the card, say on the back where it's white and black, which is easier to read, you can just shine the light on it. And as you can tell, it doesn't, where'd it go? It doesn't actually, it's reflective. So it looks brighter on camera than it should. There we go. You can see it. It's right there. And that will allow you in short distance to read what's on the card. And well, you can get that with any light. I get it. But when you have that kind of coverage that close, it actually will allow you to use this light in multiple fashions. You will have to hold it maybe 3 feet away from the light, so I'm not going to say that it's dim. It's not dim. It's bright, and because of that, you'll have to hold it 3 feet away. But that's why there's a red filter on here. This red filter allows the waves to become longer, which means that it won't flood out the ID, and then you can go from there. Okay? This filter is removable. And after you remove it, you're going to notice on the inside that there's a rock right there. That is a rock. That's a rock. There are lasers that come down and excite the rock. I'm going to hit the light. If you have any issues, please look away from the camera at this time. 3, 2, 1. And that's how the light works. 2 lasers hit this rock, and I actually shut it off quicker than I thought I was because it's extremely bright. Okay, and I wanted you to see what this was. It also has ice breakers, really grippers on the front, and a screwed inside or so forth, so you can put the filter on. Now, why would I have this light aside from checking IDs? Because in a short area, and I'll go ahead and take this cell phone and go outside and show you what's going on. Okay, so this is what I was saying. You can see in a short distance, I'm standing in a parking lot and I'm shining it at a white line, and I'm right next to my vehicle. See what I mean? I'm right next to my vehicle. So if I backed up a little bit, you'll be able to see that line. Floods it out a little bit, but that's okay. There's a grassy area. If you would see this in person, it would not be as bright. It is amazing that it's showing up like this on camera. But I guess I can continue and show you that without question, I'm sure you already knew that this was coming. It'll hit the treetops with no issue. I mean, wherever you want this to hit. I'm just continuing down the street. It's lighting up everything. Literally lighting up everything. Okay, so another reference would be the red beam. So the question is, well, if you have that kind of power, why would you need a red beam? Why would you need a filter in long distance? It's because it gives more clarity. Because of the longer wavelengths, it will give more clarity. I'm going to do 2 examples. One, I'm going to show you a tree basically right in front of me. It's a bush, but it's basically a tree. And I'm going to show you 2 different references. That one and the trees behind it, and how they look with the red beam and how they look with the white beam. So here's the red beam. As you can see, it's lower power. If I go back to the trees, you can see that there we go. See that? Camera's having a little difficulty in the dark, but you can see that that's a branch. That could just as well be a person. Now I'm going to use the white beam, and as you can tell, it kind of floods it out. See that same branch that previously you could see clearly? It's flooded out. Most everything is flooded out. I can still see it with the naked eye, but you can't tell as well on camera. It's one of those reasons why I use the red filter. Okay, now here's a tactical application that I believe is valid. When you actually look at a vehicle like that, which its high beams are on and its dash has the LEDs on, you're leery of actually approaching that vehicle. There are persons, they have strong LEDs, straight bars, white beams, and in the grill. This is just a demonstration. Those are security lights that I use. but they'll have strong high beam LEDs that don't flash, and they'll just have on the roof high beams, inside high beams, and on the grill high beams. And you're supposed to go address this person or find out what's going on with the vehicle. Well, if you don't know what's going on with the vehicle, you could possibly get into a situation and not really mean to. So what I would do is stand to the side and shine this light in the car. As you can tell, it's piercing through the glass. The windows are tinted, but you can't tell that with this light shining through it. That's one. And say, for instance, you had to stand in front of the vehicle because your options for movement were limited. You didn't have this much area. Or they addressed you. So here you are. This vehicle is right in front of you. As you can see both the passenger and the driver without question. Now, the thing is, when you actually see them in that way, if necessary, you can approach. I would not advise that, but if necessary, you could approach. Why am I approaching? Because I just turned a corner here, which could represent my exit. So that could be a wall as well as it could be a curve. So what I did was I walked from an unsecure area over here, approached the car, and walked out of the unsecure area to a secure area. And I'm still monitoring the vehicle and all persons inside if I can. As you could tell from me showing the light through the trees, you could see very clearly that the light was strong. But the reason why I would also use it inside the vehicle is because it doesn't get on the glass causing you glare. You won't have any glare. When you shine it from the outside of the window, pointing it towards the direction that you want it to shine, it will shine there and nowhere else. It will absolutely shine there and nowhere else. You won't have that issue of it getting on the glass, blurring your sight, blinding you while you're trying to look for something outside the glass. It will shine outside the glass on the item that you're shining it on and nothing else. Okay. So another reason I like this light is because it has an indicator on it. When you actually press the button, you can see if you have strong power or not. And notice I'm holding it with my hand. It's not a hot light in any part, any shape, form, or fashion. It's not a hot light. You know, usually when you hold on to lights like this, especially for a long time, and we'll get to the other light in a minute so I can show you what I'm talking about. You'll see that light gets hotter much quicker. But that's also 32.5 thousand lumens. This one is only 500. So even with the light on and as bright as it is, and you can tell it's bright, that was not a good look. That's funny. It is manageable. Not even manageable. It's not. You just know it's on, but it's not even really warm. It's just not. It's just a high focus beam. Okay, and you can tell that the indicator lets you know that it's got good power to it. Also, on the other side, now this is for special references. You can mount it. It's a screw mount. You can put a handle on it if you need to, or you can put it on your gun if you need to. And if you put it on your gun and you focus it one direction, well, if you're holding your rifle right next to the trigger, or right in front of the trigger, would be what would be the rest, or the forearm rest. You'd hold the rest, or it might be a handle, and right in front of that you could just activate the light with that trigger and not get your hand off of the rest. You're going into a room doing a raid or something like that, you just press the trigger, ready to go. So as far as I can tell, for those particular reasons, it does its job. That's what I can think of at this time to tell you. And it's for the benefit of security officers. If you're trying to get in a safety situation, you know, you don't trust the area you're in or the crowd you're with, I would recommend that you just spot this light somewhere. Let them see that you have something like this. Because the next question is, if you have something like this, what else do you have? And also, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't even use it as such. But it does have a baton-like shape to it. So you're holding this, and you actually shine this light, and you hold it like this. People are going to assume it can strike them. Some of security is making people believe something that doesn't exist. And that's sometimes when you're just trying to be safe. You're trying to get away from a situation where they believe that they're going to address you, and you're just trying to get them to keep from addressing you. It's not that you're trying to prove you're anything that you're not. It's about being safe, making sure you go home and they go home, or they get away from the situation wherever they go so that you can at least be safe. Okay. Now that's it for this particular light. The only other thing that I have to show you is about the bulb. The bulb, you do have to take it out because some people ask, well, how do you charge it? Take the end off. And there's a few things. There's a dot right here. That dot will turn red or green depending on if it's charged or not. There's a charging port right there. It takes micro USB, and when you hook up the charging cable to the battery, it will charge the battery. And here's where you'll be able to tell if it's charged or not, because it'll be red or it'll be green. Okay, this is the AceBeam X80GT. Okay. This, from what I have seen, has been called the Coke can tactical light. Like with the X30, it also has an indicator light. You can tell if it's well charged or not. It also has a mount, a screw mount. Okay. It also has the icebreakers in the front. Now there's a difference between this one and the other one because it has 18 LED bulbs here, if you will, or light emitting diodes. There's some throw in the middle. There's 6 throw in the middle, and there's 12 on the outside. And they actually come together to make a floodlight. The other one was a throw light. This is a floodlight that has throw capability. And like I said before, they're not large lights at all. This has more ability for spot focus. If you were to use this inside of your vehicle, you probably would run into issues with it shining off of your glass and causing you issues with seeing what you're looking at outside. And I'll give you a demonstration of that right now. This light has a weight to it. I kind of like that. It gives you something to hold on to and hold on to it well. This particular activator button, you can activate it with the pinky. I thought it was on bright. It's just a bright light. I thought it was on bright. It was on moonbeam. And it was that bright. If you need another representation of what it is and where you can get it, this might help. www.acebeam.com. X80GT. Okay. Now this light has 6 modes, and I'm going to show you all 6 modes now, but you probably won't be able to appreciate it inside of the vehicle. I'm going to go outside and show you on property what it does and why it's good to use as a patrol light. Okay. The first mode is moonbeam. Yes, that's moonbeam. That's moonbeam. It really has 7 settings. the second, third, fourth. Then we have bright, and then we have turbo. It's ridiculous. Then we have 10 hertz. This is not to be shined in your own face. Yeah, it just threw me how bright that was. That is ridiculous. I could not. And it's my light. It's a awesome tool. I just can't believe that they've gotten this far already. So before we go outside, I'm going to show you what batteries it takes and how you charge them. It has a container inside. This 18 650s. These are 31s. You can get them up to 4,400, I think it is, for high drain batteries. You need high drain batteries. And there's a specific orientation that you have to put it in depending on how yours comes, because it looks the same. This looks like this. So when you're holding it like this, it just looks like, I don't know which way. The way that I can tell is when I can read the warning. See how it's right side up? You can't really see it, but that's right side up. So when it's right side up, I know it goes in that way. Then I can shut it, and we're ready to go. Now, why would I need that kind of brightness? If somebody's coming at you, you have options. Most people think baton, handgun, pepper spray, hand-to-hand combat. You have to explain those things in court. One of the biggest mistakes that they make, and I'll just put a footnote here, do not use a knife. It's not part of your utility. It hasn't been assigned to you. You didn't do training for knife. You did knife prevention or knife deflection, self-defense for a knife attack, but that was not part of your training. If you did kendo training and that was batons and knives and so forth, that's cool, but that's not security. Okay, you're not supposed to be going out here cutting on people. Even the argument of a smooth blade and a serrated blade is a cutting utensil. Only reason you would use that is if you have nothing else, and that's when you're not on duty, because if you're on duty, you'd more than likely have your gun and your baton and things of that sort. That's why I say have a good light. Even if you're unarmed on post and you have a knife, if you use that knife, the DA is going to eat you alive. You have no clue what you're doing. You have no clue what you're jumping into. You would always need a light, though. Every post, I don't care what level it is, needs a light. We need to see, especially when you're a night officer. So that's why I recommend using a light like this. It's compact. It fits right in a pouch. It comes on a pouch, and it fits right in your pouch. Look at that. Size of a radio. Handheld radio. Handheld two-way radio right here. Put it in your pouch. Go on about your business. Okay, so here we are, and we're doing patrol, and things are dim. Not as bright as they should be. So, just turn the light on. It's a good throw. Because it's so dark, I can't even tell. I think this is Moonbeam. I'm not even playing with you. This is Moonbeam. This is what I was saying. You'd be surprised. Okay, so we have Moonbeam. I'm going to find out in a minute. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's Moonbeam. I don't believe this. Bright as all get out. And I'm not playing. This is not any kind of endorsement specifically for this light. It's the kind of light. If a better light comes along, shoot, I'm going to tell you to go to that one. But this is what you have on Moonbeam. So you're doing patrol. And if this is all you need, then use what you need. I use higher output because I want to make sure that people who try to address me do not, in a negative way, don't have the opportunity to address me in that way. So that's one setting. That's a higher setting. As you can see, it shoots farther. We're not just at the trees. We're a little bit ways past that. That's the third setting. And it yet and still shoots farther. You can see the light pole behind and the base of it. That's the forward setting, and you can see clarity to the pole a little better, and signs in the background, so forth. Then we have bright. You can see almost to the next parking lot. And then we have turbo. Bright, turbo. And there we go. Then you have your strobe, but we can show you that in just a second. This brightness, you see how far we are from the building, how it just lights that up? That's why we have these kind of items, so that we can see the area that we need to see. Without the light, yeah, it's pretty dark. With the light, you can see it. Now, if you're addressing somebody in a vehicle, and they're sitting there, you don't know what they're up to, you don't know why they're there. You can see. And if they become belligerent, if they start trying to jump out of the car, this is where 10 hertz comes in. They're not going to be able to do anything but stop. Okay? Without the light, you're in danger. There's a car, tinted windows, you can't see anything. Light turns on, you see everything. I'm going to shine the Ace Beam X80 GT and let you see why I necessarily wouldn't use it for outside the driver's window. When you see the light shine, you might not be able to see anything else. See? So when it shines everywhere. It's a mix of everything, which is good, but it's not necessarily good for trying to see something right outside your window. When you're trying to shine it right outside your window, as you can tell, it's kind of impossible. It's all in the glass. You can't see what you're looking at. So I think that most persons who operate this particular light should be careful, because even though it has an indicator, it pulls a lot of energy. Like I said, 32.5 thousand lumens. So here we are on bright. Take it down. That's on moonbeam. Let me see how the draw has kept the battery power in a good state. But when you put it on like bright and turbo, it'll let you know that it's really, really bright and it's pulling a lot from that battery. So I'd recommend that you go to moonbeam. And it's red right now because it's possibly hot. And it's hot. It's hot. So the light itself is letting you know I'm a little warm. There is a vent on this side that you can see. It's a heat vent. You're not supposed to block that. It says don't block right there. And when this light cools down on moonbeam mode, it'll go back to green. But right now it's kind of hot. You can see the light coming off of that thing. It's ridiculous. But it will cool down and it will go back to green. But I would like to mention, since it's cooling down at this time, that port there, it actually allows you the opportunity to have a handle with it, which comes with the light. There's a handle you can hold. It's the same color, aluminum. It screws into this particular port, and it will allow you to keep it away from your hand and let the heat just be in this particular area. It'll be a heat sink, and it'll allow your hand to stay away from the heat if you have to have the light on for an extended period of time. I've used this light in a traffic stop. and the traffic stop, well, not a traffic stop, my car broke down. It ran out of juice. I have an electric car, a Chevy Bolt. And in the days where I was trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with this particular car, I didn't know where the stops were. And when I found a stop that was on the map associated with what we have to look for, particular kind of outlets or what have you, it just didn't happen to be for public use or something of that sort. And so I made mistakes early on with this particular car, which left me out on the road. I put this on the back of my car, and it actually kept traffic away because they didn't know who was that. So they were speeding up with their high beams on. Then when they saw that light, they turned their high beams off, they slowed down, and they got over. So I stayed safe the whole time. So it doesn't look like it's cooling down fast enough. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And it does not have threaded insides either. I can't tell if you can put a filter on this or not, but it does not have threaded inside. It does have hard glass, so you won't have that issue. And I think the clarity of that particular kind of glass allows it to push that light out more effectively. So the question would be, why wouldn't you just use your camera light? Let's talk about it. If you actually have your camera light and you're trying to show it at a vehicle, like I told you, the windows are tinted, you cannot see inside of that vehicle. You think you can, but you can't. It's dangerous. So let's shine the focus beam, the W30, into the vehicle. It absolutely dwarfs. It's as if the camera is not on, or the light on the camera, on the cell phone is not on. And I promise you it is. It's on. This light is just so bright that, like I said before, number one, you can see inside. And number two, you don't want them just to be able to see you. You don't want them to be able to see, because you want to stay safe. So aside from you being able to approach the vehicle, with that dim light, you're in jeopardy. With this light, they won't be able to respond. Now that's just the W30. So at this time, let's look at the X80GT and see what it does. And there you go. And like I said before, it has a strobe reference. So like I said, they won't be able to function. This light doesn't really do it. So I would recommend that you do not use just a cell phone light. And not just about that, but look outside. Let's look at the trees. See how it lights things up? The gate that you couldn't see, now you can. Could be somebody on the other side of that tree. This is the X80GT with the W30. And remember, the light is on the camera now. You're looking right at the camera. You can't see that gate. You can see now. You can definitely see now. So whatever is on the other side of that gate, number one, you can see it, and it will not be able to respond because that light is bright. And look at how many parking lines we are away from the gate. We're not that close. We're about 12 parking spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least. Let's just say at least 12 parking spaces, somewhere around there. And that light is shining right at them if they're there. So that's why I wouldn't recommend using your cell phone device. Besides, your cell phone device will be a beacon to whoever is outside trying to compromise either your property or you as a person. This light will not be sufficient for anything other than office buildings where you're in a secured location, or letting others know where you are so they know who to target. I'm going to turn the camera off and end the video at this time for that reason. I have my other two lights, but just say, for instance, I did not, I would cancel this light at this time.